Hi, this is Brennan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam Balderstone for another episode of Bedrock and Balderstone, and we are continuing our discussion of Torchwood Season 2. Tonight we're going to be discussing, or I should say this morning, we're going to be discussing Dead Man Walking and A Day in the Death. So this is sort of the last two of a three-parter, really, largely about Owen and Martha Jones. And I think, what are the numbers on these ones? These are episodes 7 and 8, I believe. And so essentially what's happened is, in the previous episode, Owen was killed. And in Dead Man Walking, which we'll talk about first, Jack decides to try to get the other resurrection glove to bring Owen back. And at first, it looks like he's just doing it to get a passcode, which really irritates Owen. But then it turns out, it seems that he did it out of some desire to bring Owen back. And after he does it, Owen becomes almost like the mirror image of Jack. He becomes someone who's how would you describe his state, Adam? He's sort of like a.
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I said that the way Owen put it himself is that that Jack gets to live forever and Owen gets to die forever. He is a walking corpse basically.
Yeah, and we'll talk more in depth about that in the next episode when we get to that, because that's obviously deals with it entirely. But yeah, basically is this fragile thing that, like, if his arm breaks, it's not going to be repairing anytime soon, and also his libido is very affected by this, and that's an important part of his character. But yeah, so the real point of this episode is kind of like with Susie. There's sort of something in the darkness.
Which I assumed last season the Something in the Darkness reference was a reference to the big monster that came out at the end of the season, but I guess it wasn't. But
or it could be both. I don't know. It could be both. Like, there could be two things in the darkness.
There's something else moving in the darkness.
Maybe every time you die and you come back, you bring bring something with you. Something hitches a ride. But this thing was actually deliberately trying to get through. This was like and what we learned is there's some old account of this happening before at a church in England, and essentially it's like the start of the Grim Reaper legend is kind of how they frame it. I don't think that lines up all that well, but that's sort of how they that's sort of how they presented it. And
there's less plausible things in these episodes to harp on, so we'll let that go. But
and so basically Death tries to come through by way of Owen, and then it succeeds, but it needs to get 13 victims in order to
13 victims, which seems pretty easy for a Grim Reaper to achieve.
It gets through the first 12 like that, so
it just takes his eye off the ball. But I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. It's like he needs to kill people. So does that mean he's getting energy from them? And if so, why would he? They're like, well, he's going to a hospital because of all the people dying. But if there are people that are dying anyway, are they a good source? I don't know.
I think he just needs to push them over the edge. And that's
okay.
That's
he wants people standing as close to the edge of the cliff as possible. Yeah, I'll go with that.
But yeah, no. So he, he goes to the hospital, and what we find out is he needs to get the 13 souls. Then he can become like a god or something. And I don't know. It sounds like he's going to rule over Earth if they don't succeed. That's sort of the stakes.
Yeah, they were pretty vague on the exact nature of his victory, but that's okay.
And yeah, so I don't know. What did you think of the episode?
It was kind of a frustrating episode, because Jack going and getting the resurrection glove and using it just felt like, it's like, really, you guys, after everything that happened with the other one, you're doing this again? I mean, it never it never felt like a plausible decision to make. And I mean, it's like, and your entire job is getting alien artifacts and keeping them from people that are going to do bad things with them. It's like it just, and I realize it's not like they haven't been reckless in the past. This was just so reckless. And I mean, and even they had to kind of lampshade it. It's like that Jack can't use the resurrection glove. They're like, oh, but this is different. It's like, but Gwen calls it out. Oh, but I thought you can't use them. Oh, no, this is different.
Yeah, no.
It was just like, there were so many things going on. I was just like, but I mean, on the whole, it was an entertaining enough episode, but I don't know that we needed to go back to Resurrection Glove territory. I wasn't that happy about it.
Would you have preferred that they just kept Owen dead, or do you think that bringing him back was a good move?
It's tough to say at this stage, because I did enjoy the second episode we're going to be talking about more. I thought that worked better once we got past all the Grim Reaper-y stuff. But I mean, maybe they could even found a different way to bring him back. I mean, or at least, I don't know. I mean, it was just, I just felt like the whole thing really didn't work as well. And I mean, and I talked, before, I was like glad we had drawing a complete mental blank on the character's name from Doctor Who, the companion.
Martha Jones.
She's Martha Jones. Yeah, I was excited to have her back last episode, but I don't feel like Martha Jones was used all that well in these two episodes we're having around. I mean,
in this one they aged her. She was on a hospital bed for half the episode. I thought that was a really bad use of Martha Jones. So I'll say this: I liked the episode. I thought it felt like the entertainment aspects of it, sort of the running away from the monster part of the show. I thought
that was fine.
It felt like a good episode of Doctor Who. But I agree with you that a lot of the details were a little bit sloppy, and I think that it would have been much better if they had paved the way for this by maybe a few episodes in the back, showing Jack sort of researching the topic or something, so that you sort of get a sense of where his head is at when he makes that choice, because it just sort of came out of nowhere, and he goes into the Weevil church, and I don't know, it was just kind of it felt a little bit sloppy. And and I think that some of the other details, like just the continuity issues and things like that, but I really didn't like the aging of Martha Jones. That felt kind of like, I don't know, it's like you have Martha Jones for 3 episodes, and you're just going to have her sit. Maybe that was part of the reason. Maybe that was part of the contractual arrangement. I don't know, but
she just wanted to lie in bed for half the shoot. That was in her contract. Yeah,
but it just didn't seem like a really good use. You got her for 3 episodes. You might as well make as good use of her. And I didn't think they were going to actually age her forever or kill her. So
no,
like to get killed on Torchwood would have been.
Well, I mean, for me watching this for the first time, I know she's going to be showing up on Doctor Who again.
Yeah.
Past this for the continuity, she's still going to be like in the last episodes of that 10 is in. So it's like, I know there's no threat there for me, and that's just obviously if you were watching the show at the time you wouldn't know. But yeah, he said it's unlikely they would kill her off. But yeah, aside from that though, I just. Like I complimented the previous episode on how well her chemistry worked with the rest of the cast. It felt like Martha Jones. It felt like it's just, I don't know. I mean, in these episodes, she was just playing the doctor role. She was kind of saying stuff, but it just, there wasn't anything fun or interesting about her presence in these episodes, even when she wasn't prematurely aged. So it just kind of felt squandered. That's all.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And so I don't know. I thought this. I enjoyed the episode, but I did share some of your
yeah,
comments.
I didn't hate it, but there's just a lot to nitpick about with it.
and the history thing really felt like something that a Torchwood writer just made up. I thought it would have been cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is some obscure legend like this that I don't know, but I had not heard this story, and I thought it might have been more interesting if they had taken a real real account and added a twist to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they could have done better with the whole story and the whole, Faith was the girl's name thing was kind of
yeah, that was silly. That was that was a little bit eye rolly.
Is Faith really a medieval Welsh name? I mean, were people in Cardiff called in the 1300s called Faith? I don't know. It just seems unlikely to me.
Not sure. But,
I know. I'm not asking you specifically. Just kind of throwing that out there, and I could be wrong, but it just doesn't strike me as a particularly 1300s Wales name.
And so, I don't know, anything else on this episode before we get into A Day in the Death?
Let's see. I think I'm okay for now. I might end up jumping back to this episode later on if something occurs to me, but I hit my main points. So.
Okay. Now, was this the one? The one thing I did want to clear up, is this the one where they go to jail, or is that the next one?
They go to jail in this one.
Okay.
Oh, no, it was. Wait. Actually, I'm wrong. No, jail was in the previous one. I'm sorry. It was.
It's in the first one.
Yeah, he had the whole demon possession thing going during the jail sequence.
So I think before we get to the next episode, it is worth talking about the scene where Owen stands on his head after drinking
yeah, that's right, yeah.
And he has to throw it up because his digestive system isn't working anymore. And so
yeah.
I thought that was, number one, it was a really disgusting scene. But number two, it was it kind of indicates just how different a trajectory he's on than Jack.
Yeah. Okay, now you brought that up. It's kind of refreshed that whole section of the show for me too. And it was like Jack was just so unnecessarily a jerk to Owen over everything. It's like, you're the one that caused all this, Jack. Why are you giving him all this attitude? I don't know. I mean, Jack can be a callous character. There's no question. But it was just beyond that in this episode where I'm like, you're just being a jerk here. I don't even feel like this is good writing of the character. But,
like the scene where he gets them thrown in jail after the bar fight.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
I know. And it's like, at that point, too, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know how long he was going to last. They're still at the point. Maybe he's going to drop dead any second.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna get us thrown in a cell so that we can teach him a lesson. It's like, really.
Well, and also, I mean, they know Owen. They know he doesn't react well to that kind of handling, anyways. So.
Exactly. He was acting very Owen-like, and Jack's acting like, "Are you really going to act like this?" Yeah, he is. you know him.
And so, and by the end of the episode, they try to put, what is it, formaldehyde and ethanol in his bloodstream, and
that's when the hand wakes up. Yeah, and goes all Evil Dead 2,
and that's what gets Martha in trouble. The next episode is kind of one of these episodes that's really sort of like a it's just like a character study of Owen, basically. It's just sort of like his it's like a and it's framed interestingly. It's framed around him talking this woman off of a roof, and he's sort of telling her about what's happened to him, and she's on the roof to commit suicide because her husband died in a car accident on their wedding day, and this is her anniversary, and you're not really sure the whole episode if Owen's up there because he's joining her and he's going to jump off himself, or if he's intent on talking her down, and it kind of ends on an optimistic note after all of the all the stuff we see Owen is not handling this transition very well.
No.
And I think I don't know, what did you think about the episode before we get into the details of it?
This was a good episode. I mean, I'm not entirely happy at how we got to this episode, but taking it in stride, I thought it was very effectively done. I thought emotionally it worked. Owen seemed a lot better written in this episode, and I don't know, everyone's reactions were good. I mean, it was a little harsh in in the way that some of the members reacted to him, but yeah, I was happy with this episode. I don't know, what was your take on it?
No, I thought it was a good episode. And I thought it was very well shot in a lot of places. Like there were a lot of scenes where I was like, wow, that looked like that really brought me into what they're trying to do. Like they kind of got me into Owen's head really well, and I think that the way that they handle his interactions with Tosh were pretty interesting this episode also.
Yeah, yeah, that worked well. I like that a lot. That felt like a very good development, and yeah, I mean, and just the interaction with the woman on the roof too. That could have been pretty melodramatic and stupid, but I felt like it was pretty grounded and real in the way it worked.
But what was it? And also there was I think the thing that really sort of made the episode come together for me is when he cut his hand, and
yeah,
and then like
that was.
Oh, go ahead.
Go on.
Oh, no,
no. I wasn't going to say anything. But just going to say, yeah, that was great. That's all I was going to say.
So I was just saying,
not worth cutting you off.
that's the point where you realize, oh, like he doesn't heal. Like it's not just he can't digest food. It's a very significant thing. Even getting punched is a problem for him. So and when they said that, I think what she meant actually, they didn't. I don't think they clearly said it, but I think she was saying like if he gets a concussion, like. I don't think he's going to recover from the concussion. I think that's what she was saying.
I didn't take it that way, but that makes sense.
Because she said if you get a bruise, it's not going away. And so because remember there's a line there. She goes, even if you just get punched in the face, that's game over. And I was like, well, wait, why is it game over if he gets punched in the face? And she didn't use that exact language, but and I think it's because he gets a concussion, it doesn't go away. So you can just imagine. Over time, I mean, again, it wasn't clearly stated, so maybe they weren't thinking that, but that was where my mind went.
Yeah, it's reasonable. Yeah, and of course the whole scalpel thing brought up the fact that he can't feel anything too, which was, I don't think they'd really highlighted that fact up till then.
No,
which is a pretty eerie thing.
Well, he can't feel, and also we know he's impotent, which is a big deal for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he basically can't enjoy the pleasures of life. We see him opening the fridge and looking at his drinks, and there's nothing he can do about it. And then he has to go and throw away all of his, all of his human peripheral things.
Because the little montage with the fridge too kind of highlighted the fact he'd wake up every morning, go to the fridge. Then he it was like he would automatically go there every day. Then he would have the moment of going, oh yeah. It was like a reflex action opening the fridge, and then just no, I can't.
But yeah, no, I thought it was a solid episode. What did you think about the pulse? The device with Mr. Parker at the end, and
Mr. Parker's scene. The Mr. Parker scene was good. I thought that worked pretty well. I mean, it's got to bring up the logical problem again. It's the whole thing he can't give mouth to mouth because he has no breath. Well, how is he talking?
I have the same exact note. So I was like, maybe nobody else would notice, but I mean, if we both picked up on it, I think that's definitely like a clear problem. Yeah, because not just that, but we actually see him breathing a lot. Like you hear him breathing in a number of scenes. And they didn't do anything to minimize it. So
I mean, on top of that, it's like you'd think giving mouth to mouth. It's like if I, as a living human, give mouth to mouth, the air I'm breathing into them, I've already deducted some of the oxygen with my own lungs. It's like he wouldn't be deducting any oxygen. He would be like really good at CPR because it would be really oxygen-rich air that he'd be breathing into them.
I don't know what they were, I don't know.
Yeah. It is one of those things that's so obvious. You're like, how did they not see this? But yeah, I don't know. The scene on the whole was good. I thought it was a good interaction between the two of them.
And basically they go in there because this guy has this device that's giving off massive energy signatures, and they think it's explosive, that it's gonna explode and kill everybody. And when he finally gets the device, they realize that it's it's a response to the message NASA sent out with the Chuck Berry music and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. There's the other logical fallacy. I mean, it's only in recent years it's even reached the edge of the solar system. It's like it's a favorite thing in science fiction movies going back to the '80s to have the aliens came because of the probes we sent. It's like that's still, like I think Starman, the '80s Carpenter movie, the guy was responding to the probe in that, and it's like, well, it's still like in 1980, it's still by Mars. Where did this guy come from?
I think the only explanation then is that these are aliens from Jupiter or Europa or something.
Yeah. Or maybe they're aliens from the future. Maybe that's
possible.
It. They were trying to revisit the time the probes came from, because knowing how long it took to the journey, they thought there's no point in going there now because that civilization will have been destroyed. So we'll have to time travel back to this planet. So okay, yeah, it all makes sense. It is the Doctor Who universe, so that's actually entirely plausible.
Yeah, no, but I liked it. I liked that it wasn't an explosive device.
Yeah, I did like that aspect of it.
I did think it was a little cheap that the security system didn't read heat signatures, and that's why Owen, and because it was just too perfect for Owen's situation.
I know.
I don't think we've heard of a heat signature reading security device in the show up to this point. So
yeah, it sounds like you need a dead man. Yeah. Yeah, it was very. I mean, the whole thing. I don't know. I mean, only letting him make coffee. It was like I can understand them not wanting him to send him to field because, like they said, he's very fragile now. But just trying to exclude him from everything felt a little bit like, it's like those are the regulations. It's like, when has anyone in Torchwood ever cared about regulations before? You bringing him back from the dead was pretty irregular.
I also kind of want to understand the physical nature of his condition a little bit better as well. It's probably one of those things. The less you think about it, the better. But as we know, he has to exercise to keep the muscles from atrophying. But he's not supposed to be able to pump blood like they established with the erection thing that there's no blood. So blood. I don't know. I'm a little confused.
You just kind of have to roll with it. I think it's like the whole breathing thing. Once you open, I mean, it was a mistake bringing the breathing thing up because it's one of those things that gets you thinking about it. It's well, I know having that scene where they talk about the exercise. If they hadn't done that scene, it wouldn't get you thinking about the flaws there. But sometimes you shouldn't call attention to those things.
But yeah, so I don't know. Any other thoughts on this episode?
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see where they're going next with it. I mean, part of me, part of me was wondering if they were going to use the pulse thing as a reset engine and basically have it somehow imbue him with real life or something again, so they could retcon all this whole plot line to wrap it up. But I don't know. We've still got this dead Owen thing, so I feel like there's something still out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, where do you think the thing with Owen is going to go? Like, what do you think? Well, we'll get into it. We'll talk about that later, I think, because there's a lot of stuff. I have a lot of thoughts about what they do with Owen in these episodes and how that relates to the whole season. But I think it's better if we get in that discussion.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to give my feelings just without you needing to weigh in. I don't know. I'm a little ambivalent on it because I mean, Owen has been this kind of frustrating, difficult, but interesting character through the show. And I mean, I don't know if I want the character to change. I feel like, the end result of this plot arc. I mean, I don't know. I mean, assuming he continues to live for a significant amount of time, I don't know if it'll be a good change for the show or not. But we'll see. I'm open to seeing where it goes.
Yeah, I think we'll keep an eye on your opinion as the season.
Okay.
I think it'll be for interesting discussion. But yeah, and I guess the we touched on it, but also Tosh and Owen do get their date, and
Yeah, of a sort.
But it kind of goes weird. But I thought that was kind of filmed interestingly, because like it just sort of focuses on him, and you just see her talking in the background, and then when it resumes, she's still clearly talking about something intelligible, but he hasn't been paying attention, and then he kind of blows up at her.
Yeah, which actually, the way it was framed, it felt very justified. To be honest, it was just like, geez, I'm dead, and you're over here bothering me with all this trivial garbage.
Yeah, I will say normally we get a little bit annoyed at Owen for his moods, but here it did feel like, okay, he's dead and he's got all these things going on, and they kind of just want him to jump back into whatever it was that was happening, and so.
Her bringing the food over too, having pizza and beer in front of him. It was just like, geez, Tosh, what the heck? Come on. So I've got like all these stomach problems, and it's like, so I know what it's like having people eat something in front of you that you really would love to eat, and you can't. It's like, that was personal to me. I'm like, man.
Yeah, I think she wasn't doing it intentionally, but
no, she wasn't. But it was the thoughtlessness of it that I was like, oh, come on.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll again, we'll see what happens as the season unfolds. But I did like that we kind of got a 3-parter. I thought that was cool. I thought that was
yeah. I mean, like I said, the middle part I was a little iffy on in a lot of ways. I mean, like you say, it was a good episode in the way the story kind of came together, but the setup of it was I don't know. But yeah, I on the whole was fairly positive with this. I mean, the fact they did a good job with this last episode gives me some hope they might go somewhere interesting with the character, because the characterization was very good in this one.
And again, you'll have to, how many episodes do we have left? We're on episode 8, so we get 9, 10, 11. So we got like 4 or 5 episodes left. I can't remember. I think, was it 13 episodes total?
13, yeah.
So we're getting closer to the end now, and I think I don't know. I don't know if we'll get it. Are we gonna do season 3, or are we all set on season 3 and 4? What was our?
I don't know. Let's play it by ear. I think I might be up for doing season 3 when this is over. I watched it, as I've mentioned before. I watched it without having watched any other Torchwood back when it very first aired, and I only remember the roughest outlines of it, and I didn't know any of the characters, so okay. I've got very hazy sense of what happened specifically with these characters. So I know we had very different opinions on season 3, so it might be interesting. I'm getting more of a perspective on how you felt about it now that I've watched these earlier seasons. Because watching it in isolation, I didn't care about any of the characters to any particular extent. I didn't. What they did with those characters in that season didn't mean anything.
Yeah. No, and I think that, and it's just such a break. I mean, it's a clear stylistic departure. But again, most people, I think, favor the direction it went with 3. I just, it's kind of the show. I think even the woman who plays Gwen said something like, that's when the show became the show that it was supposed to be. Like, that's sort of when it found its identity as a show. But I feel like this is the idea. These first 2 seasons are what really make Torchwood for me.
Well, I'll tell you, now that we live in an age when almost every show is a one plot stretched over a season era, which at first was really cool, but a lot of shows now, I'm tired of that, and I'm like, man, we've been on this plot for 6 episodes. Can't we do a different plot next episode? I'm finding the old fashioned style of Torchwood mostly being just plot of the week. I'm like, plot of the week show. This is refreshing. So I can,
It's plot of the week. It doesn't take itself all that seriously. It occasionally jumps into really serious stuff, but then, like, Jack is making some kind of, like, really silly remark. Like, it just kind of... Like when Owen jumps in the water. Owen goes in to commit suicide, basically.
Yeah.
And when he comes out, he's like, oh, Jack, Jack's there, and he's like, oh, Jack, you were watching me, and he goes, oh, skinny guy, jumping into the water, like, I brought a camera, like, just some silly, thing that Jack always says. I like the overall tone of the show. I just think that it works, and again, I think what happens when and season 3 was a very good season. I'm not saying it was a bad season. I think it was really well done. It's just that it's sort of, to me, it feels like kind of like you were saying, like we have so many shows like that. It was just kind of going with a fashionable thing, and I think that the problem with that fashion is everything kind of starts to feel like a soap opera after a while.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that is a big part of it. Everything feels soap opera-y and drawn out, and I mean, and you lose the pleasure of having a standalone episode. It's like there's something satisfying just watching an hour of TV, and it's like it's done now.
Well, you don't get that well-crafted single episode. You get episodes that are all pieces of a bigger puzzle. And the individual pieces on their own are not all that entertaining. You would never want to sit and look at that piece again and again and again. But with the standalone episodes, you can go back and rewatch an episode 8 times over the course of your life and still get enjoyment out of it. Whereas I'm never going to go and like watch episode 4 of season 2 of 24. 8 times. I mean, and I don't even remember what episode that is. I just know, without even knowing what the episode was, that it's not an episode I'm going to watch more than twice. I don't think I've ever seen a 24 episode more than twice, and I don't need to see them more than once. Once you got the plot of the season, you're done.
And it's a barrier to rewatching shows, because if there's like some of my favorite episodes of the X-Files, I could just go to Netflix and watch. I'm like, I'm like, oh, I'll just watch this one episode. And I'm like, cool, it was fun to revisit that, and then I go on to something else. Whereas it's like, rewatching, like most of these shows now, it's like you at least have to watch a whole season or even watch the whole show. It's like, I'd love to revisit Breaking Bad, but it's like I'd feel obliged to like watch all of Breaking Bad again. And that's, I mean, I'm sure I would enjoy it, but it's a big undertaking.
So anyways, we should probably head out at this point, but we'll be back I think on Wednesday with the next 2 episodes, and on Friday we did Vampire Cleanup Department, so people should check that out. It's a discussion of a Chinese vampire movie. It sort of pays homage to the classic movies like Mr. Vampire and Encounters of the Spooky Kind. And I'm sure we got other stuff coming up in the week. I think I got an interview on Monday and a couple other things. So we'll be back on, and we will talk to you later.